Hi, this is Anil with a video tutorial for the Learning Guide on C programming. So in this video tutorial, we're gonna see the array of structures. So when we create a variable of a structure, let's say struct student Anil, then we can store the information of Anil only. Let's say you want to store the information of around 100 students or 500 students. At that time, creating 100 variables and storing the information in that variables is not going to be the convenient method. So for that purpose, you can use this array of structures. So now, for the demonstration purpose, I have created a structure definition here. This structure is going to be named student, and this name and roll number are the members of this structure student. So in this main function, I'm going to create the array of structure student. It's going to be struct, then student, that's the structure name, then the variable name, let's call it as s, then the size we have to specify how many students information you want to store. If you want to store the information of around 100 students, specify it as 100 here. 500 students, then specify as 500. But here, for the demonstration purpose, we're gonna create an array of structures of size 3. So I'm gonna create a variable called size, and I'm gonna assign it the value 3. And here, within the square brackets, I'm gonna specify the size here. So this statement is gonna create the array of 3 students. So now we're gonna ask the user to enter the name and roll number of students. For that purpose, we're gonna use a for loop. Before that, we need a counter variable. Let me create it as counter. So here within this for loop, we have to initialize this. It's going to be counter equal to 0, then counter is less than size. That's because array numbering starts from 0, and the last element will be stored at the position 1 less than the size. Then we have to increment our counter variable. So now within this for loop, we're gonna ask user to enter the information. I'm gonna say enter the name and roll number of student %d, and I'm gonna refer counter then +1. That's because when this counter becomes 0, this printf statement will write enter the name and roll number of the student 1, just for making the user interface a bit more interesting. We're just adding this printf statement. Then I'm going to use the scanf function to receive the input. First we are receiving the name, that's going to be %s, then we are receiving the roll number, it's going to be %d, a comma. Now we have to specify where we want to store the data which is received from the user. So we want to store it in this array s, that's why I'm going to write s here. Then within the square brackets, we have to specify the position. We want to store the first value at the position 0, that's why I'm going to refer counter here. So this counter is going to loop through all the array positions, then in which member you want to store in that structure. So here I want to store the name in the structure member name, that's why I'm going to write name. Then we are receiving an integer value, that's why I have to write ampersand here, then s of counter dot roll number. So this is it. We are writing this ampersand here. That's because we are receiving an integer value, and while receiving a string value, it's not necessary to include the ampersand. If you want to, you can include it, otherwise you can skip it. So okay, I'm gonna add it, no problem. So now this scanf function is gonna read the values which are entered by the user, and it's gonna store it in this array s. So to retrieve the values from this array, I'm gonna copy this and paste it here. It's gonna be counter equal to 0, counter less than the size, counter ++, no space here, counter ++, then here we're gonna say printf, and let me indent name %s, add a tab, then write roll number %d, add a new line, and here we have to refer the values. It's going to be s, that's the array name, and the position from 0 to size -1. Then the member name is going to be name, and let me copy this and paste it here, dot roll number. Before that, let me add a printf statement here, and let's add a new line, just for making the output prettier. Let's add 2 new line, no problem. Save it, compile it, and run it. So as you can see here, enter the name and roll number of student 1. So I'm gonna write Anil, separate by a tab, then I'm gonna write the roll number, let's say 23, hit enter. Enter the name and roll number of student 2, let's say Tilak, then separate by a tab, then the roll number, let's say 24, hit enter. Enter the name and roll number of student 3, okay, let's say Rashmit, separate by a tab, then the roll number, let's say 22, hit enter. Name Anil, roll number 23, name Tilak, roll number 24, name Rashmit, roll number 22. So that's because we are storing all this information entered by the user in this structure array. Yes, then we are retrieving the values which are stored in that array here by using this for loop. So this is it. This is how we can create an array of structure and save the values in that and retrieve the values from that structure. So thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next tutorial.